Hey guys, let me show you something interesting. This is me. Last year on the Camino Portugués during the heat wave that swept entire Iberian Peninsula. And in the first glance it doesn't really make sense because why would you cover up if that outside is 40 degrees? But then you look around the world and you start noticing interesting pattern.
From the Tuareg people in the Sahara, wrapped in their burlopes, to the Bedouins who have lived for centuries in some of the harshest deserts on earth, the people who understand heat best don't always wear less.
On the contrary, sometimes they cover up. So what I'm about to tell you is not a story about clothing. It's a story of how I slowly changed the way I think about walking in the summer. So you see, walking 600 kilometers across the Portugal in the middle of European summer. Now, let me make a plan even clearer. I'm ginger, okay? My skin doesn't tan, it just changes the shades of red. But summer was the only time I could actually walk, so I had two choices. I stayed home or I figure out how to survive it. Before leaving, I started paying attention to people who spend entire days under the sun. People who don't have the luxury of hiding indoors until the evening. And the things they used were strange. A sun hoodie, a long trousers, and even an umbrella. Some of that looked ridiculous, but I've packed some of them and left for 1 month of walking.
I arrived in Lisbon. The first morning already felt hot. By 9 o'clock it was already over 30 degrees. And I had two choices. Walk like I normally would or trust this strange hoodie. So I put it on. It felt completely wrong. 40 degrees and I'm putting on another layer. But the hoodie was loose and the air could still move underneath it. Was it cold? Definitely not. It was still hot. It still felt like I was melting, but somehow it also felt cooler than my brain thought was possible. And most importantly, I could keep walking. And after the first week, I still wasn't completely convinced. Every now and then I would tell myself, today is not that hot. So I would wear shorts. By lunchtime, I looked like a cooked shrimp. And the next morning, the long trousers came back on. The first week taught me something. The biggest problems wasn't the temperature, it was the sun. Hours of open countryside, endless tomato fields, almost no shade. The heat wasn't disappearing, but it was protecting myself from what was actually making it unbearable. By the time I was approaching Coimbra, the hoodie had become normal. The real surprise was my hat. I never realized how much difference a little patch of shade above my face could make. You don't notice it during your first hour, you notice it 6 hours later, when you're still enjoying the walk, instead of desperately looking for the next tree. You see, somewhere around the halfway point, I stopped dressing for the thermometer. I started dressing for the sun. That small change gave me something I wasn't really expecting: more energy, less frustration, fewer burns, and instead of spending every break recovering, I could actually enjoy the Camino. The cafes, the villages, the conversations, those little moments that disappear when your body is simply trying to cool itself down.
And if you walk in the Camino this summer, we've put together the free Camino checklist with everything we've learned after walking through some of the hottest days we've ever experienced. What to wear, when to start walking, how much water to carry, electrolytes, recovery, you name it. The small mistakes that can ruin a day. It's completely free and you will find it in the link description just below.
And coming home, I realized something. The Camino had taught me a lot, but I could still improve my system. So over the following months, I kept experimenting. This year, crossing even sunnier Sicily, I tried arm sleeves, and honestly, they became one of my biggest surprises. You got most of the protection of the sun hoodie, while keeping the flexibility of wearing your favorite t-shirts. Then hat became non-negotiable. But I also realized different hats work with different systems. A wide brim hat is brilliant on its own. A baseball cap works surprisingly well together with a buff. And the sun hoodie changes the equation again, as the best sun protection is with the baseball hat. There isn't a perfect answer, there are different systems. Then there is the umbrella. Probably the strangest piece of hiking gear you could carry. And I will admit, I used to think it looked ridiculous. Now, I completely understood why people use it. Creating your own shade wherever you want is surprisingly powerful. And if you walked enough caminos, you also know it doubles as a pretty good negotiation tool with overly enthusiastic village dogs. Then the king. The buff turned out to be more than a head covering. With the baseball cap, it protects the neck. You could soak it also in water, wrap it around your wrist. It's one of those tiny pieces of gear that quiet earns a permanent place in my backpack. Then there is a fabric. And a few technical details I realized that the fabric also matters. Thin, summer weight merino is my go-to. It regulates the temperature well, handles sweat beautifully, and like many synthetic shirts, it doesn't start announcing your arrival to every albergue after 2 days. The important part, summer weight, not your thick winter merino. And obviously the color matters too. Dark colors absorb more solar radiation, light colors reflect more of it. It's a small difference, but when you're outside for 8 hours, small differences become big ones.
And if I had to start the Camino Portugués again, which we start next year, this probably would be the system. A good hat, a light welt merino t-shirt, my favorite arm sleeves, long trousers, a buff, and maybe an umbrella. You see, the 1 year ago I would laugh at this setup, and today I would happily walk 600 kilometers wearing it again. So let's do the final thought with a bit of the mate. I thought this journey would teach me how to deal with heat. It actually taught me how to deal with sun. They are not the same things. The temperature is just a number, and the sun is what actually slowly steals your energy, your patience, your concentrations, and your enjoyment of the walk. And that's why the people who spend their lives outside don't always wear less. Actually, they cover up, and not because they're hotter, because they want to stay cooler for longer. And if you're not sure about which shoes to choose, we have a really good video for you. Just check this one. Hey, buen camino.